Hi guys, and welcome back to World of Tanks and another random destruction for you. I hope you've all had a good weekend. And kicking things off in this one is my Object 140. I did mention that I've been in the T54 a little bit recently, used some times 5s to really basically try and get this done, because I wanted a tier 10 medium and all I got was TDs and heavies. Well, one TD and the rest are heavies. So, Object 140, I do like it. This was my 10th game in it. Those of you that follow me on Twitter will probably have seen the results from this one. But I thought I'd put it on anyway. It was definitely a fun game, and I'm really enjoying this tank. I don't have anything to compare it to tier 10 medium wise, but I am really enjoying it, definitely. So, while I'm looking for the enemy, did anybody, I'm assuming, well, some of you will have, some of you may not have, see the news about the ammunition for World of Tanks PC, I think it was, that they named it at Wargaming Fest, whatever it was that was going on. And it sounds like basically what they're doing is what they did to World of Tanks Blitz, if I remember rightly, or at least they tried it out in that. I think it carried on in there, which is to reduce the amount of damage that premium ammunition does by a certain percentage, but the cost of it stays the same, and obviously the penetration stays the same. So the trade-off for using your premium ammo is that yes, you will get more pen, but you will do less damage, and I think that's what I don't know when they're bringing it in, but that's what they were talking about, and that's the sort of main thing. Well, not the main thing, but that's one of the things that a lot of people have kind of picked up on, due to, you know, how people feel about the premium ammunition. And somebody did say in one of the comments on one of my videos about, you know, what's with all the bad blood against using premium ammunition, and I'm not against using premium ammunition, because there are situations where you just don't have a choice and you are going to have to use that premium ammo. But I think what my issue is, and what a lot of people's issue is with the premium ammunition, is that some people kind of use it a bit like an easy key, almost, or an easy button. And instead of thinking about how to actually get around on it or aiming for weak spots, they'll just, you know, hit that button and just start spamming the higher penetration ammunition. You know, it's one of those things. You know, it is just one of those things that everybody has a differing opinion on it. Mine is that, as I say, you know, there is a time and a place for premium ammunition, but most of the time, you know, it generally would serve you and your team better, and, you know, you'd earn more credits from it anyway, if you basically, you know, instead of just flicking to that premium ammunition, think about your placement or where you've got to go, etc, etc. But there you go, it's just one of those things. As I say, everybody has a differing opinion on it, and that's mine. That you know, I don't agree with spamming nothing but premium, but there is a time and a place for it, and that's just the way I see it. And I think the main problem people have with, you know, absolute premium spamming is a lot of the time it just completely negates certain tanks in a game. There are certain tanks that, you know, their strength is their armour. That is the thing they rely on, and generally when you have tanks like that, there is a trade-off. You know, you're not going to have an incredibly well-armoured tank with a massive fast-firing gun that's really mobile. It just doesn't happen. If you've got a big heavily armoured tank, generally, you know, you are slow, and your gun, it might hit hard, but a lot of the time it's inaccurate, etc. You know, long aim time, long loading time. You know, there are those trade-offs. So with those tanks, because they're not mobile, because, you know, they might not be particularly accurate, they kind of rely on their armour for a couple of reasons. One is because they can't get out of the way quick enough, and two is, you know, sometimes they're going to have to sit there while they're waiting to aim, or while they're reloading, or while they're tracked. You know, track that E100 there. You know, it's just one of those things, and there's a good chance they're probably going to have to sit there and rely on that armour. And if somebody can just press a button, switch to premium ammo, and reliably just pen bump, then those tanks are pointless in the game. And that's the way that, well, that's the way I think a lot of people feel anyway. It's that constant premium spam, sort of, it does kind of negate certain tanks. However, having said that, there are certain tanks in the game, there's not many, but there are the odd one or two where, unfortunately, you are going to have to basically spam premium in them to actually just do anything. So I think with stuff like that, Snakebite is one definitely that springs to mind. The pen on that on its standard gun, unless again it got a buff. It may have got a buff. I've mentioned a couple of tanks before that had bad pen. They've now been buffed. So, but I think that's one that probably have to be looked at. Anyway, back to this. I've just sort of been rambling on about ammunition and all sorts over this. Yeah, it was a fun match. You saw me doing a little bit of handbraking here and there and bouncing a few shots and what have you. And I don't know if this, like I say, this was my 10th game in it. I can't remember if that's the highest damage I've ever done in it. I think it's one of the higher damage amounts I've done in it. I've had some awful games in it as well, really poor games. But I am enjoying it, and generally I'm doing better in it. You know, some tanks you'd sort of, you know, your good games are few and far between, and normally you just do bad in it. This is the other way around. It's not very often I have a bad game in it. Not quite an ace, but still 5,500 damage. I'm more than happy with that, as I'm getting used to the tank. I was slightly disappointed that I mean, it doesn't really feel it as such, but it is less mobile than the T-54, which was a little bit of a disappointment going into it, but definitely not disappointed anymore. I do really like that tank, and I'm still grinding out for the T-62A now, back in the T-54, going for that one. Anyway, here we are for the second replay, back in the T-54E1, and as I'm recording this video or doing this commentary, I think I've got just over 9,000 XP left in this to get the T-57, so this will most likely be the last of my games that you see in the T-54E1. I haven't hated it. I've kind of enjoyed it most of the time, in a way, as I said before, but it's not one that I'm going to be keeping. There are certain tanks that I keep, and I'll train a crew up specifically for moving in, you know, up into the next tier. There are a lot of tanks that are on my sort of to buy back list, you know, where I've gone through them. I needed the crew for the tier above, couldn't be bothered to spend ages training up another crew, whatever, or just needed the cash, you know, to move on to the next tier. So it's sort of, oh, you know, I'll have to sell it, but I'll buy it back at some point. And but this isn't on my keep or my buyback list, I don't think. I mean, one of them on my buyback list has always been the Black Prince. I know it's slow and everything else, but I did like that tank, and then since it had its buff, I did actually buy it back, and I'm just training a crew up in that at the moment. But anyway, back to this match. Very favourable matchmaking, and that Crafts Panther is about to have a very, very bad day. So I went for the tracking shot on the first one. I did get him. I think he's fixed his tracks. Managed to get a third shot into him and left him on such a small amount of health. He is now hightailing out of there, and I'm just waiting for him to come out the other side of that building. And took him down, so yes. He had a very bad day, and I think I did feel guilty for just, you know, deleting a tier 7 or clipping a tier 7 for a few seconds, but then I remember the times that it happened to me, and the guilt soon passed. Now I've turned around. Anybody keeping an eye on the map will have seen a couple of light tanks heading back this way. There's one of them. There he is, and the other one, I think, yeah, is just popped up over the brow of that hill. He's not come down though. I think he was possibly just having a little peek to see what was over here. There goes the T-71 trying to get past. Not today, sunshine. Tracked him, gave him a nasty surprise. He then turned around to try and get the hell out of there, and it just all went wrong for him. And now I've got one shell left. I'm going to see if I can see that other light tank, and if I can, I'm going to see if I can get a cheeky shot into him before I go for the reload. Nope. So go for the reload. And I mean, tips for anybody. I mean, I'm not an autoloader expert. I do play them fairly often, I suppose. But you know, and I think I probably mentioned this before, but there are a few little tips for autoloaders. And basically, never go anywhere on your own. Always have somebody there with you, that can cover you basically while you're reloading. You really need that, because you have got a long time in between reloads. You know, it's just a fact, and you are defenseless essentially at that point. So try not to go anywhere on your own, and I'm saying that as I start speeding off on my own. I did think that I had some cover with me. I thought that heavy was coming with me, but I don't know if he gets taken out. Actually, I've not watched this since I did it, so I'm not entirely sure if he gets taken out or if he just goes a different way. But, you know, as I'm saying, don't go anywhere on your own. Look at what I'm doing. Anyway, the other thing is, communication as well. Tell the people around you that you're reloading so that they then know that they've got 30 seconds or whatever before they've got any backup. You know, if you are just down there with one other person. Just communicate using the wheel, just reloading. It just lets them know. So they're not going to try and push expecting you to come out with them. And you know, you can't because you've got nothing in your gun. And the other thing is, be very, very careful with your reloads. If you're going to force a reload by pressing right on the D-pad, make sure that you are safe to do so. The amount of times where I've thought, do you know what, I've got one shell left, I'm going to go for that reload, sod it. And I didn't check properly what was around me, and I go for the reload, and just as I do, something comes around the corner. You know, it happens. I managed to take down the Scorpion G. The T-55-2 is coming for me. I tried to get the ram in because I only got one shell left in my gun. And now here comes that hefty reload. I've ended up on my own. I'm now reloading. And I was kind of laughing as I was doing this. I end up chasing him around like this. Just, well, to be honest, I don't know what I was doing. I was just chasing him around trying to keep my strongest armour towards him. And hopefully being able to just nudge off little bits of health. And yeah, I really don't want to back up so much at that point. Just keep trying to knock his tracks, really, until I can take him down and reload. So now I am reloaded. He's been taken care of. Although I'm now in that sort of situation, I've got one shell missing out of my clip. Do I go for another reload? Do I just stick with it and stick with the 3? And again, I've been in the odd situation before where I've done that. Stuck with the 3, come across the tank, and if I'd have reloaded, I'd have killed them. And as it happens, I didn't. I had 3, so I didn't. But I've now been spotted. There's a T-28 prototype up there. I really don't want... Yeah, he can get shots at me, so back off a bit. Back off. I could take a couple of hits, but there's no point taking that hit if I don't need to. And this is, I mean, this is not definitely, you know, it's not the highest damage I've ever done in this. I put a video up of this last week where I did about 6,500 damage. So it's not the highest damage that I've done in a match, but it is my highest kills in this tank. And it was still just a nice kind of game, and it does show, I suppose in a way, it shows a couple of the weaknesses of an autoloader. It shows a couple of the strengths of an autoloader. Probably would have shown more the weaknesses of an autoloader if I'd have come up against stuff that wasn't tier 7. I mean, if that TD, that T25/2 had been something a bit higher tier, I would have been in a lot more trouble. But it does kind of show a couple of the strengths, which is that capacity for the burst damage, and also for finishing off injured tanks as well. And you do kind of have that potential with these, and I kind of sometimes, I try and use them most of the time, like an ambush predator almost. You know, you kind of stay back, you pop out, you get your damage in, and you get back again. I think I described it a bit like a trapdoor spider. Wait for something to, you know, you can almost, sometimes towards the end of the match when you know the enemy tank's going to go in a certain way, you can almost hide in anticipation of them. Wait for them, pop out, bang, 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 dead, and then get back into your hole and reload. Now, here we go, T-28, taking a hit from him, waited for the aim though, because the penetration on this thing is not great. But the side armour on T-28 prototype is very weak. Very, very weak, so I just needed a little bit of that side armour, and I was definitely confident I was going to pen him, which obviously I did. But when I can talk, did take a hit in the process, and we've still got arty left. There was a medium, and I think there is a T-29. Now the T-29 I'm not overly concerned about, but he can pen me, especially if he uses his premium ammo. But a T-29 could pen me using his standard ammo as well. There's arty. That's one shot for him. I've still got 2 in my clip. So now it's just a case of finding that T-29. And it was about this point that I realised I was on 7 kills, and I was like, ooh, hang on a minute. I'm on 7 kills. Oh, there's the T-29. I'm a one-shot kill for him. So I'm going to have to be careful. As I said, he can pen me. And I think I've probably given him time to reload, and I did, but luckily he put it into the ground. And I managed to get my last shot in the clip into him, which is fortunate, because if I'd have missed that, I would have been in trouble. because he would have then had about 30 seconds to try and kill me, which I'm pretty confident he would have been able to do. So there you go. Not a bad round. I think there was possibly some little mini boost ops and things on there as well. Got a high caliber out of it, a Reaper, another Ace, a Radley-Walters, and then of course everything that comes underneath that, the Devastator and the Top Gun, and just a shade under 5,000 damage. So not my highest damage game, as I say. I think that's my first Radley-Walters in that tank, so I was quite happy with that one. And you know, that was, I think I did that one yesterday, possibly, or the day before. But it's nice that I've managed to finish off this tank having some, you know, some decent and enjoyable matches. It's always horrible when you get to the end of a tank grind and you just keep having bad matches. And it's always nice to sort of finish on a high. Anyway, there you go. I hope you've enjoyed that. I hope you found it entertaining. And as I said before, I hope you've had a great weekend. I will be back tomorrow with another video for you. So until then, take care of there, and I'll catch you next time. Oh, and by the way, I will be doing Absolution at some point. I'm just trying to get some decent footage in it. So there you go anyway. Take care of there, and I'll catch you next time. See you later.